Good evening and welcome to another episode of Have Game Will Travel. I'm your host, Bennett Newsome, also known as Damn It Bennett in the gaming community. And as the Director of Esports Growth and Development here at Full Sail University, I'm super passionate about exploring the diverse world of esports and gaming beyond just skill level. So whether you're a first-time listener or a returning fan, we're thrilled to have you join us for this virtual journey through the experience of industry professionals. So get ready to engage with our guests and learn from their perspectives. Remember to submit your questions in chat and we'll feature them during the show, but sit back and enjoy the ride as we kick off another episode of Have Game Will Travel with our guest AJ. AJ, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here tonight.
Awesome. Well, I am very excited to have you here. I was just going through my text messages prior to the show, and I found the text message from like our first interaction. We think it's like 2019, but we were both on a panel at Comic-Con or what was it? MegaCon. There we go. And I was like stuck in line in traffic trying to park, and ended up having to run through the convention center. It was an experience. I made it right as the panel was starting, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Bennett." She's like, "Hi, I'm Ashley." Like, thanks for having me. So we're returning the favor. You're on the show. It's exciting. But go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the folks what you do.
Hello, I am AJ. Right now, currently, I am a course director at Full Sail. I teach the Esports and Gaming Management course in the Game Business and Esports Bachelor of Science. Outside of kind of that's what I get paid to do. What I do kind of in my free time is I am part of Esports and Coffee, helped kind of get that launched. I also this is a new development. I'm sitting on the advisory board for the collegiate fighting games community as well. So that's been kind of fun to dip my toe into, because fighting games is not something that is anyway innate to me at all, but I kind of missed the competitive side of things since I've stepped out of the coach role. So kind of some of the things I'm up to currently.
That's awesome. Well, talk to us about kind of gaming in general. What was your like first gaming experience, and how did that influence kind of where you've gone in the world of gaming and esports?
Yeah, I think what really kicked off kind of my love and passion for gaming just came from a way to connect with my cousins. They always got the newest consoles that came out, and I would see them every weekend. We would spend hours. If we weren't outside playing, we would be inside, on the Nintendo 64, on the GameCube, things like that. And whenever the newest iteration of the console came out, they gave me the old one. So like the Super Nintendo is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I don't think anybody to this day could meet me in Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. So I think that's something that really got me passionate about it, because it really was a way for me to connect and open up. I'm kind of a shy person. I think most people can kind of get that vibe from me when they first meet me. So it was definitely a way for me to be able to have conversation and be able to connect with people.
Yeah, I love that. And getting involved with your cousins obviously is a huge deal. You have to be, like, hey, I've got to be good at this.
We're competitive. Yes.
I love that. Have you felt like you've carried things, obviously growing up playing games, carried that kind of from childhood to adulthood, the things that you think back fondly on as growing up and, remembering, oh man, this game, and anything that you have in that world?
Yeah, I think that I carried it, especially when I got to college, that still resonated pretty well with me. It was, I went to UF, so huge campus, tons of students. And even with so many different people that are around you, it's still hard to find people, and it's still hard to connect with people. And like, are you a safe space? Like, are you somebody that's like going to be my person? So once again, at that point, I might date myself a little bit here, but at that point in time, that's when like League of Legends was coming out and really coming online. So that's where I was able to really connect with people, was through the game of League of Legends. And that's how I found the people that I still talk to almost every single day from my college life, were people that I would play with, playing League of Legends every single day.
That's incredible. Talk to us about your time at UF. What kind of aspects of gaming? Obviously, League was a big part of that. Did you play in clubs? Was there, like, did you just kind of have fun, meet people? Like, talk to us about your experience at the University of Florida.
Yeah, so it was certainly more, we're all going to be at the same apartment and play games. Like, everybody became roommates at that point of time and playing games. We competed at one tournament that was hosted in the Rights Student Union. We didn't do very well. So, like, we did that like one time and didn't really go back and do it again. We decided to stay in the apartment and just run 5-mans moving forward after that point in time. So it was more a hobby for fun. And we did watch a lot of LCS too. Like, if we weren't playing the game, it was, we're all going to sit around the TV, watch LCS, watch Worlds. Like, watching Worlds, I vividly remember like sitting on the couch with all of the roommates and vividly watching Worlds. It's when like Silver Scrapes became like Silver Scrapes, and it was that time where it played for like 5 hours straight because there was a huge delay, and it became like the like song of League of Legends. So kind of being there for all of the pivotal moments of League of Legends, when it was really, at the time it was the NALCS, when that was really coming online. I think that's what really kickstarted my love for esports in particular.
Yeah, I love that. And coming off, graduating from UF, what, like, did you jump right into the world of esports? Were there things along the way? Like, how did your path start after college?
Yeah, so I knew, like, the love for esports really built while I was in college, definitely centered and focused around League. But at that point in time, it was not something that I was looking to like make a career out of. It was not I remember thinking about it and I was like, there's no way. Like, there's nothing here that I can see to like viably make a career out of. So it's just going to be something that I kind of do for fun. But what I did graduate with was a love for higher ed, for education in general. So what I did want to do was stay in education in some realm. So I thought I was going to be a high school teacher.
Okay.
I took some of the FTCEs. I took some tests, passed some of them, right? And then I took some of them. I passed some of the tests. Not all. I'm a very bad test taker. I passed some of the tests, and I applied for some teaching jobs. Didn't get any of them, and I said, okay, we're gonna rethink what being involved in education looks like. Yeah. So then I decided that I will play with IT. So I became a member of an IT team within the College of Pharmacy. Now, here's saying that I graduated with a sociology degree. I didn't have a lick of IT experience, but what my kind of role in the IT department was to be, for lack of a better term, like the human side of the IT department, because some of the IT folks didn't know how to interface with the people using the equipment in a nice sort of a way. So I was the face, and I was like, here, let me help you with your problem.
Is it plugged in? Like,
yeah. Here, I'm going to help you fit. We're just going to shut it down. We're just going to restart it, and we're going to see if that helps or not. So I was definitely the one that I helped the on the floor problem.
I imagine that was a good experience for most people.
Yeah. It was better to have me show up than to have some of the other people in the IT department show up. Now, it always ended a little bit better.
Yeah. So IT is where it started. And how did that transition to then, collegiate esports head coach at Park University?
Yeah. So when I was at UF in the College of Pharmacy, I was still kind of doing some, there were some very small orgs that I would volunteer for. And I did some social media stuff. I did some event coordinating. It was all volunteer, just stuff I did in my free time for the fun of it. I dabbled with streaming for a very short period of time. So it was all stuff that I did for fun, just for the love of the thing. And then I was kind of keeping my eye out on opportunities because I knew that I wasn't long for the fake IT world. And then I saw that esports and higher education was coming together in a much more profound way when esports programs were becoming full-on varsity
Yep.
programs at institutions. So I started shooting my shot at a couple of different
Oh yeah.
institutions. And that's how I got picked up by Park University and moved all the way to Kansas City.
Yeah, it's a big change, Kansas City from
Go
Florida.
Chiefs!
Go Chiefs! I like it.
Go Chiefs!
Oh, that's awesome. So how long were you at Park University for?
Yeah, so I was there. I would round it out to about 2.5 years total.
And was there any like pivotal moments that you had working at Park University? Was there any memories that you just look back fondly on from that time?
Yeah, I think some of my favorite moments were being able to have the teams just come together
Yeah.
as teams. A lot of the times, the students that get recruited onto these programs, most of the time, they haven't competed on any other type of what you would think is traditional athletics teams before. They've never had kind of that team experience.
Yeah.
So to see them come together and kind of like win that first game of the season and to see them get really excited about that, to see them experience their first LAN. We had a LAN opportunity within like this big. It was kind of like an old basketball arena in Kansas City, and it's the Hy-Vee Arena. If anybody's in chat is familiar with the Hy-Vee Arena in Kansas City, the old Kemper Arena, and it was a huge stage, stadium seating. So for the teams to be able to like play on a stage of that, I mean, mind you, this stadium wasn't like filled to the brim,
Hey,
but
it's a
the
stadium.
ability
That's all
to
you
like,
gotta know, right?
yeah, the ability to get on a stage and like have that experience. You could just like see it on their face. It was just like the lights kick in and the fire, like
Mhm.
the fire that you could see in their eyes. I think those were probably some of my favorite moments. And then the other one was my first League of Legends team in 2019 in the spring. We were able, the spring LCS split, the finals were in St. Louis. So I was able to get the university to pay for me and the entire team
Oh, that's
to
awesome.
take the train to go all the way to St. Louis and be able to experience like that whole pro event
Yeah.
live. So that was also a really awesome moment.
That's really great. I bet your students loved being able to see that event and
Oh,
just be in that atmosphere because it's such a different experience. Like obviously watching online, hey, this is great.
mhm.
I'm in the comfort of my own home. But when you go to something and you're there and you're in it, it is night and day different.
Ooh, electric. And it was like,
Exactly.
and the music and the crowd and the lights, and it was like the perfect, I believe it was I want to say it was Team Liquid TSM. It was a
Wow.
reverse sweep. It was like everything that you would want out of a
Yeah.
best of 5 was delivered. So it was like S tier experience.
That's awesome. And you also worked and helped support the Kansas City Esports Coalition. Can you talk a little bit
Mhm.
about that?
Yeah, so that was the brainchild of a couple of different folks in Kansas City, but specifically want to shout out Marvin, who's at Populous. He really was the first one to kind of get it off of the ground and running. It is kind of the whole goal is to get all of the different esports entities or esports adjacent entities in
Right.
Kansas City together, just to help kind of drive a more wide recognition for esports in Kansas City, because I don't think a lot of people know, but Kansas City is kind of a hotbed for esports, and it kind of really flies under the radar for it.
Yeah.
So the KCEC was formed to kind of help bring about more of an awareness, but also try to, we hosted different charities every single year, charity streams, and we also did events like the Kansas City Corporate Cup. So we would have, we'd have Google Fiber throw in teams to play Mario Kart and Rocket League and things like that. So we had a couple of different initiatives, but it was just really great to be able to just connect with. I mean, I loved my students and they were great, but it was great to be able to connect with like different working adults that also had an interest in esports.
Yeah.
That were close by, that were in my neighborhood.
Sure.
That was really awesome.
Plus, I feel like that gave more opportunity to not only, what you guys were establishing at Park University, but also, the potential future for opportunities for your students, once they graduate.
Yeah, and that was something that I really tried to hone in on, and I will say that the majority of the students that were within my program, I would say maybe less than a handful were like wanting to pursue esports after they graduated.
Right.
I had like nursing students, and it's like there's like one thing that you're gonna do with a nursing degree usually is you either keep going to school or you go be a nurse and do the nurse thing. But for the ones that did want to really pursue esports after they graduated, it did, like, once they did graduate, I'm like, okay, boom, go, hang out with the KCEC. Here is like a seminar or a symposium that's coming up. I, kind of urge you to go network, meet people. I wanted them to really be the ones to take on, like, I wanted to help point them in the right direction and be like, hey, here's this event, I think that you should go to it. But I really wanted them to kind of take ownership of being like, hello, I didn't want to handicap them or handhold them the whole process. I really wanted them to kind of take ownership and be like, hello, I went to the thing that you told me about, and I went up and I shook the hand of X, Y, and Z, and kind of did the darn thing.
Absolutely. And that's such a good experience for students too. I mean, because there is that fear, right, of taking that first step to like, hey, I'm Bennett Newsome, and I do this. Like, it's a scary, interaction, but for students,
still get scared.
Yeah, that for students that just boom, go in there. And we watched a few students actually do that recently, and was just absolutely blown away with that. And really cool things are coming from that. Just introducing themselves, saying, "Hey, I do these things." It's such a great opportunity. But so 2 years Park University, then big change. You left Park University and became the director of membership sales and services at NACE. That's a pretty big move. Talk to us about that move, the challenge of that, and kind of what the main goals of your position were.
Yeah, so that was definitely a big move. Didn't have to go anywhere because, again, Kansas City is a secret hotbed for esports, and that's where NACE is located. So didn't have to move. But it was definitely a big change in terms of what my day-to-day looked like. It went from mostly being like on for like weeknights and weekends for the students and for practices and for competitions. I reverted back to the 9 to 5 and having to like work with admins instead of working with students. So it was kind of the switching of hats again. So really my two kind of main goals with being the membership director for NACE was onboarding new institutions into NACE. So if there was a school that needed help setting up a program, I would kind of walk them through the thought process of how, with your specific school in mind, what type of an esports program is going to work best with how your campus is set up, what you've got going on. Once they felt comfortable, they got things off the ground and running, then let's get them into membership. And then the other side of the coin was more kind of membership services related items. So one of the things that I really enjoyed out of my experience with NACE was getting to launch the mentorship program. And that was essentially, you can kind of think of it as me taking the buddy system and just
Mm-hmm.
making it official. So I would take somebody who had been in NACE and a director for a number of years,
Right.
take somebody that was brand new and like maybe they're in the same state, maybe they're both D1 institutions, but take people whose institutions look very similar to each other and you kind of just smush them together and then they get to go and hang out for the semester. Um, we would also have kind of like monthly calls where like everybody got together and we all discussed one subject together, so everybody could hear kind of multiple points of views, which even I mean, I've been out of the director game for a number of years at this point. So even at that point in time, I was still learning new tips and tricks along the way that I thought was really meaningful and really cool. And I was able to in turn take that information and be able to share it with the new schools that were
Right.
just launching programs.
Yeah, everyone's singing your praises about the mentorship program in the chat,
Oh,
which is always a good thing. You know, that's what you
yay!
definitely want. But again, you know, that's a really cool initiative that you started, that you know, bridging those gaps, because again, putting someone that knows and has been through it and has proven themselves in that director role, well, someone that's just trying to figure it out, it's such a great avenue to success for everybody. And I think that collectively everyone wants this to be successul, right? And the more that we work together, the more that we can support each other along the way, is the best way to be successful in this. So huge kudos to you for helping build that bridge. Then another big change happened. This one, there was a big move. It wasn't down the street, right? Like we got you back to Florida, and
She came back.
and now you're here with us at Full Sail. So talk to us a little bit about that and your transition from NACE here to Full Sail, and just kind of that journey.
Yeah, I really thought, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm out of Florida. I'm not coming back until I retire. And here she is. Like, I was in Kansas City for like 5 years. Like, it did not last long until I came back to Florida. So, you know, egg on my face. But it has been really great. I officially kind of came on board to Full Sail at the very tail end of November, like honestly, like the week of Thanksgiving. And all of December, I kind of took that month to build my course,
Yeah.
which is really interesting because I had never built a course before. So that was, at first I had to figure out how to do that.
How to do it,
And then
right?
I had to do it. So I did that throughout the month of December. And then January, my course launches. So my course launched in January. I had 3 really awesome students in the month of January. But since the GBIS, the Game Business and Esports Bachelor of Science program,
Is that what we
is
call it now? I
still
like it.
GBIS,
Gibbous.
the GBIS, since the GBIS degree is still so new,
Yeah.
and I am so late in the degree path. So I am I am the last course before their last portfolio. So
Okay.
I'm second to last. And because of that, there are parts where I can go a month and I don't have any students yet, because it's just there hasn't been enough time for there to be a consistent amount of students yet. So in February, I didn't have any students, but that gave me an opportunity to be able to teach their final portfolio class, which was putting on a live event in the Fortress, which was a really neat opportunity. It was not a class that I was hired to teach, but man, it was so wild to see it from start to finish, because the students day one were sitting there and they're like, how are we going to think of an event, put it all together and execute it in 4 weeks? And I'm like, it's gonna happen. Like, it's there's not a way in which this doesn't happen. And then it happened, and they're like, oh yeah, it did happen. Like in 4 weeks, one can make it happen. So it was really awesome for them to be able to kind of see them have them see the fully realized product come to life. It was an awesome moment.
So with your classes and being able to create, the lessons and see what are you kind of trying to narrow in on your course as far as the, kind of focus of what the students are going to be learning that month?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because, as we know, esports, I think, changes every 3.5 seconds.
Yes.
Roughly. So it's always interesting to try to keep the topics on the nose and to keep them fresh. But what I kind of sat back before I started, and I was like, what do I think is going to be the most at least kind of the most important things to hone in on. And all I kept thinking about was, at least since I am so close to the end of the degree, all I kept thinking about was, how do I let them know as much as I can of the opportunities that are out there, and be able to lend them enough information, enough to make them dangerous, and enough to be able to, if they are curious about a specific topic, that they could come to me and be able to be like, hey, you mentioned this as a thing, would love to know more, or would love to be connected to somebody who could be able to, really explore that a little bit deeper. So what I've done is I've tried to, we only get 4 weeks with every class, which is a blessing and a curse. And I think one of the curses is, like, you're able to kind of teach a lot of things. You can either tunnel in really hard on like a few topics,
right,
or you kind of surface level a bunch of things. So I'm going to be a little bit broad, be able to introduce as many topics as I feel make sense, let them know the K through 12 opportunities, the collegiate, the professional, the community, and be able to give them an idea of everything that is available that's out there. I had a student that came in the January class, and they're like, I want to do this thing. And then about 2 weeks into the class, they're like, you know what? With everything that we've talked about so far, I never knew that I was really interested in collegiate, but now I think I'm interested in collegiate. Yeah. And then the next day, he like applied to be a program director somewhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I think just being able to, I think my part in this is just trying to divulge as much opportunities and information as I can at an informed surface level.
Yeah, and I like that you said make them slightly dangerous, right? Like that you're giving so much information that, hey, I find this thing that I love. And that's what we see a lot of in esports, right? Like, maybe I'm not really into the typical, education of English, math, science, right? But there's this technology, esports, gaming thing that that's where all of my time is spent. Like, those connections are really important. So, giving them the opportunity to see this broad spectrum of things, I think make it, a great opportunity to see that thing that maybe they didn't see before and go, oh, I like that. I want to do that. Like, this is a really cool area for that. So, that sounds great. Talk to me about the now, again, award-winning Esports and Coffee. Big deal here, right? Talk to us about the inception, the vision behind it, and all things Esports and Coffee.
Yeah. So award-winning. Wowie. That's still, it's still, you can see I can't drop my smile. That's still something that is, hard to wrap the old noggin around. Still something that is kind of bewildering. Shout out to my Saries and my Jackies and my Danielles that are in the chat right now. Really incredible folks to work with. And it's been really just such a I think it turned out to be so much more than I think any of us could have imagined that it got to, and so quickly.
Yeah.
We only started this thing. I think it's only been about 18 months at this point in time. Um, the the idea was batted around for a while, and then we're like, hey, let's start streaming some things, and well, let's organize it a little bit more, and let's put out some topics for our streams, and ooh, maybe we'll put a website together, and ooh, let's get some social media out there. Let's have some Jacob make us some
Yeah.
graphics and things like that. So we did a little, I think what was really helpful is we also just tackled a little bit at a time. So I don't think any of us I ever really got overwhelmed with we have to do everything
Yeah.
right out the gate before we can get started, which I think some content creators get a little
Oh yeah.
tripped up on. They're like, I don't want to start until I have all of my graphics, all of my
Mm-hmm.
socials, the background's got to like,
It's got to be
so
perfect.
like yeah, like we really were like, we're just gonna go
Yeah.
and we're gonna pick up pieces. We're still picking up pieces along the way, right?
Yeah, and I think that's so good because that's the content, right?
Yeah.
The content was
Yeah.
the most
Oh,
important
yeah.
piece of that puzzle. And you guys said we already have, let's just go do that. And you know,
Oh yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah, so it's been really great, and just being in our Discord server, I think that's my favorite part about the whole thing. I do love to where it can be wrong. I love chatting with my ladies. I love it. I love it. But being a part of the Discord server and just having folks be able to go in there and they may have, like, even I had a work related question today where I'm like, hey, my student this month is interested in K through 12. They would love to interview somebody that
Yeah.
falls in that sphere. Who knows somebody, right?
Yeah.
So you can just go into that server and ask those types of questions. Or Cody right now is on a cruise and she's posting pictures from the Cayman Islands, right? It's very whatever you want it to
Yeah.
be. So it's just a great place to be able to know that whatever kind of headspace that you're in, that it's a good, safe space to be able to kind of share what you're going through.
Yeah. What do you see for the future of esports and coffee? Obviously, you've accomplished a lot in 18 months and continue to grow. What's
Yes.
next?
Yeah, so we have a couple of things that we're looking to kind of launch this year. I know one of the things that I would like to get started is the Gremlins Coffee Corner. So I've been deemed the gremlin of collegiate esports.
Saw that in
I think
chat
it might
earlier.
have to do. I think it might have to do with my height. I think it might have to do with my peppy personality, a little bit spicy. So my kind of goal and vision for that was it really kind of has spawned from a lot of the debates around awards and things like that. And I just would like an opportunity to find a way to highlight more people, because there's still so many people that I see that are listed for these awards, and I'm sure that they are wonderful, fantastic people, but I still look at a ballot and I'm like, I don't know who you are or anything about you. And I tried to do some background information, some Google searching, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to find information. So I would love to use that as a way to just pick people out and be able to just like give them a platform. So it would be very like this. I find people
Yeah.
to talk to, get their story, and just be able to just learn more about them. So that's one thing that we're looking to do. I know that there's a couple of other initiatives that we're looking to do. We're looking to post more other that sounds weird. We're looking to host other folks works and things like that on our
Mm-hmm.
website. We want our website to be kind of a centralized location for, we've got some of Cora's
Yeah.
articles that are on there, some photography that's on there as well. I know Lindsay, not Lindsay, no, Lindsay. Yeah. Looking to post some of her pieces on there as well. So looking to just almost become kind of a centralized hub for almost other people's content as well, just to help highlight some of our community members.
Absolutely. Do you feel like there is a growth right now of people that want to support, you know, marginalized communities in the esports area? And do you guys feel like this is a good time to like really try to elevate that area?
Um, I I hope that this I hope that this is the start of something new. I think we're leaning in that direction. It's been a long and it sounds like the words that I'm saying are not genuine, and it only sounds that way because it's almost one of those things where like you don't want to talk too quietly because like you don't want to like you don't want to wake up mama bear, right? So it's like I think it's happening. What if I talk too loud? It might not happen. So and it's just, you know, it's a long time coming that a lot of us have been working towards a more DEI inclusive
Yeah.
space, a space that feels better, a space that is more accepting right out of the gate. Even last night, I'm still constantly thinking about and plagued by comments that were made to my face by people about different positions that I have gotten. It's still something that has happened as recently as the position that I'm in right now, even the position that I got at Park University and everything in between. And I'm hoping that we're moving now towards a place where somebody can't so like one of my students, like either they were part of the park team or one of my students that's going to be graduating now, somebody cannot slide into any of hers or theirs DMs and be like, well, you only got that job because I turned it down, or you only got that job
Hmm.
because you looked the part, or
Yeah.
it would be great. Like I feel like we're moving in that direction. Feel like
Yeah.
we're moving
And
in that direction.
unfortunately it's a slow movement, but
Yeah, the slow burn.
there is hope on the horizon. You know,
Yeah,
you
I
see
think
it,
so.
I see it, and I
Yeah.
just have to think that you know, while there are bad times, you know, we're
Mhm.
getting through them. And I think with places like Esports and Coffee and your Discord community, like there's places to go to make it
Yeah.
not so bad, you know? And
Yeah.
I think that's such an important piece now for anybody that's in this space, that wants to be in this space, that it aspires to be in the space. Like these are the places that really need to shine. And you guys are doing a fantastic job. So I give all the credit to you ladies, and have always been impressed with what you guys are doing. So keep that up. Don't stop.
Wee. Well, thank you. Yes, thank you, my ladies in the chat and all of the coffee beans in the chat as well. It's very, very appreciated.
So you mentioned earlier that you have started to this new thing as an advisory board for the collegiate fighting games community. First off,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Tell us everything.
Yeah. So Loki did miss our first meeting a couple of days
no
ago.
one saw
I
it.
think
It's
it was
okay.
literally
No one
like
knows
2
now.
days ago. No one knows except for the recording of this
Yeah, we
very
don't worry about
podcast.
it. We'll edit that out.
But it is, I think it's a really great initiative, headed by Jason Hell on Pause, very good friend. Him and some folks got together, and the fighting games community, like Smash, of course, is a game that is, you know, probably like, I'd have to guess like the fourth most played title at the
Right.
collegiate level at this point in time. But a lot of the other fighting games, you think things like Tekken, Street Fighter, a lot of those other games don't have the support at the collegiate
Yeah.
level just because they are not as popular as Smash. So it's him and his team have created a way to offer competition to those students that are looking for competition in those particular titles. And it's very grassroots, you know, they're not charging anybody to be able to participate.
Right.
It's literally a band of volunteers that just have a love for fighting games and wanting to give students an opportunity. So I was kind of brought on to help think about what and like to help think about membership, not so much in a, you know, not so much in like a, if we offer this, what can we charge them
Right. Yeah.
viewpoint, but more so like if we can onboard members into into a database, what type of information is good for us to know, how can we use that information to like help find support from
Hmm.
maybe we can use our membership as a way to partner with somebody to help host the tournament bracket. So kind of using it as a way to help garner more support for some, bigger aspirations and bigger
Yeah.
opportunities down the line.
I like that. Kind of holding the door open, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We do have a great question from the legendary Samurai Tank in chat here, and she says, "I would love to know how AJ knows when it's time to move on to her next opportunity. She's progressively grown and pivoted in such an impressive way.
Oh.
How does she know when the time is to pivot?" That's a great question because I've been at Full Sail for 17 years. I could never answer this question. You know, how do you know it's the right time?
Gee. I think that that is a good question. Jennifer Coolidge is the only voice I could ever do. So I think that the best time when I think there's a couple of things that clue me in on when it's a good time to pivot. Um, One of the things that really stands out to me is when I feel like I'm not able to use the creative side of my brain.
Okay.
And I know and it's one of those things that one sneaks up on me a little bit where, um, and not being able to use the creative side of my brain at work, how I've been able to notice it, how I've been able to notice it is that I stop using it outside of work. So things that I do outside of work is I also do a bunch of cosplay. I like to paint. I like to play my ukulele. So those are like a
Oh.
lot of like creatively charged things.
Yeah.
And I notice if I'm not being creatively driven at work, I stop being creatively driven at home as well.
Interesting.
So it's kind of, yeah, so it's interesting. I've noticed that like my creativity at work has been fueling my creativity at home as well. I don't know
You
if
get
that's
like a taste
entirely
of it.
healthy.
No,
Yeah.
you get a taste of it and you want to do more. Like I
Yeah.
totally can identify with that. You know, especially when you're like, oh, I'm doing this creative thing. You just want to keep going and feed
It's
that,
like
right?
it's like I get some things out at work and I'm like, I still like I you still it's kind of like the high that you get from going to the gym. You
Yeah.
go to the gym, you do your reps, and then you leave the gym and you're like, oh man, I feel like I can take on the world. I think
Yeah.
it's like that same feeling almost. It's those same chemicals that are happening. So I think for me that's one of the big indicators is how creative I'm being currently. Um and then the other one is definitely kind of like my mental and physical health is another good indicator as well.
Yeah.
Just my weight overall, my mental health, how bad is she? Um, Going to therapy has been fantastic. I don't think I've ever
Absolutely.
really shied away from saying that I go to therapy or anything like that. So I think having that in check has been really helpful, really
Yeah.
meaningful work there as well. So I'd say those are some of my
Yeah.
biggest indicators.
I like that. I mean, and I agree with you on the therapy thing. I think there's a lot of bad stigma there, but there's so much good
Yeah.
that can do that. I just
Yes.
always wish more people, would take the time to just talk to somebody, and have some conversations to maybe get get some stuff off their chest, you know, and the good that can do for you personally and professionally is such a win. And unfortunately, it's kind of looked down on in this industry a little bit. So the more people that say that, the better. This is always good to hear, right? So you did
absolutely.
Yeah, you did talk about your creative side and cosplay. Talk to us a little bit about what you do outside of work.
Yeah. So cosplay is probably one of my funnest thing that I do. I wish I had the opportunity to do more of it, but cosplay is an expensive hobby. So she partakes when she can.
Yep.
So Dragon Con is something that I have done every year for the past 5 or 6 years in a row now, minus of course the COVID years. But Dragon Con is something that I take very seriously,
Okay.
as seriously as one can take Dragon Con. So I always kind of do I always kind of craft or do one big cosplay for Dragon Con, but my other days at Dragon Con I kind of have more easier low-key cosplay. So maybe it's like a bodysuit, or maybe it's just like a pants and a shirt that resembles a character from a video game or an anime or a TV show, something that I'm watching there. So one of the big cosplay that I did last year was Kirishima, or Red Riot from My Hero Academia, probably my favorite anime character of all time. So that was my big one last year. For Dragon Con this year, I think I have decided that I'm going to do Captain Yami from Black Clover.
Okay.
I haven't decided. I'm probably just gonna dye my. I'm not a big fan of wearing wigs, especially in Atlanta in August.
Yeah.
So usually, like, my hair is red because I did Zyra the year before Kirishima, and they both have red hair. So I'm probably, for Captain Yami, just going to dye my hair black before August rolls around. So she gonna get a new do here. I just
like
need to find a hairstylist. If anybody in the chat is in the Winter Park area and has a good hairstylist, hit a girl up, because she still hasn't found one since she's moved.
I'm sure we can point you in the right direction for sure.
But yeah, I love to cosplay. Pokemon is also something that's very important, near and dear to my heart. So Oddish is my favorite Pokemon, so I have almost an entire binder full of just Oddish cards. But playing Pokemon Go is also something that I play every single day.
I've experienced this in real time.
Yes, in real time, have played Pokemon Go. So honestly, like, Pokemon Go Fest tickets went on sale today. JJ has snagged both of us tickets to go to Pogo Fest. It is 4th of July weekend in New York, so we're gonna sweat to death for that. But it's gonna be great. So Pokemon's a really big part of my life as well. And I like hanging out with my cat Charlie. It's also something I like to do in my free time.
Yeah. We've got some other questions from the chat, so I definitely want to get to those. Jacobus Nachos asks, what are some things that your students have taught you since you started at Full Sail?
I like this question. I would say, I think my students have taught me, since I've been to Full Sail, that I don't have to be the college professor or course director that I think I have to be. If those of you that know me, I was very nervous going into class 1 in January. I was like, I have never I taught one class when I was a student at UF. I forgot what it's a teaching assistant. I was a teaching assistant. I taught one class many moons ago. It was like 200 students, but it went really well. But I was still like, I still haven't done this. Yeah. I put all of this course material together myself. Does it work? I don't really know. I haven't done it. But I went in thinking that I was going to teach one way. I was going to present myself one
Yeah.
way. And I was kind of thinking about all of my college professors that I had over my time at UF. And I realized, like, just wholesale's just different.
Yeah.
And I know that everybody like says that about their own institution, and I get it. I get it. But like, but wholesale is
really
different. It's really different. So like, I came in thinking that I was going to act a certain way, I was going to dress a certain way, I was going to interact and have assignments and have course material that was very buttoned up, and it was going to work a certain way. And then like the third Saturday that we were teaching, like we're all in the class, all four of us were in the classroom crying because we were laughing so hard at the weird noises that were coming out of my mouth. So I really think that I was taught to just be able to be myself, and it was okay, and that the material was still coming through. They were still learning, the material was still coming through, and it was still a meaningful experience that they had.
Yeah, I love that. I think that it's such a unique place, and our students here are really special, and it's more, there's like that connection that you get, which is a really special thing. So definitely love that. We also have another question from Lugnuts. She asks, what should a newbie bring to a con? Backpack, cosplay items. She wants to know what is the essential items to bring for a convention.
Ooh. Okay, so I would say somebody going to Dragon Con for the first time, put those inserts in your shoes. If you're not already wearing those, get you some inserts for your shoes.
Yep.
First thing I would suggest. The second one is, I don't know if everybody has seen these, but there's these collapsible stools that exist nowadays. I'd get one of those because if you're sitting in line for a really long time, you're either standing or sitting on the ground. So a collapsible stool is really great. I'd also bring, you could have like a fan that you like hold, or they've got these fans that go around your neck and just blow air at you so you don't have to hold it. Those are really great.
Mm-hmm.
They have water kind of all around the convention, but definitely would be a great idea to always keep a water bottle on hand so you can fill it up when you need to. And for like, as far as cosplay items, the great thing about conventions that are like very cosplay heavy is it's great to like kind of have your own tape, your own Velcro in case things break, because things will break day of. Things will break day of, don't worry. But there's always people going around as cosplay medics. So you always just look for somebody. They usually have like a little flag that's coming out of their backpack, and they'll say like little cosplay medic or something like that. If you go up to one of those people, they will have whatever you need to like fix your broken cosplay if something fell off, if you need to attach something to yourself. And those are great people. They are just people who show up to the con to like help people make their cosplays look great for the love of the con. So always keep a few extra dollars in your pocket to tip the cosplay medics. Some of them refuse to take tips, but I always try to sneak it into their backpacks anyways. So keep a few extra dollars on hand for your cosplay medics.
Cosplay medics. I didn't know about that. I love that, though. That's such a cool...
The unsung heroes of the conventions.
Very cool. Love that. Oh, all right. So we've got like 8 minutes left, I think. So I do want to do a little speed fire round here because there are a couple questions I want to make sure to ask you. Professional development. What advice do you give to your students or someone looking for a career in esports?
Ooh, I would say, like, are we talking like where to go to find professional development? I mean,
sure, or just any advice that you would give somebody that's going in, that wants to go into this space.
Yeah, I would definitely say that getting to know people at, as much as you can, getting to know folks is the first big step. So like we were talking before, putting yourself out there, being the one to walk up and I still am scared to do this, going up to somebody, hello, I'm AJ, right? So making the connections, I think, is really well. Being aware on I think Twitter, Hitmarker, LinkedIn, if you're really wanting to look for spaces and opportunities, I think those are probably the biggest three to keep an eye out for. And when you're looking for opportunities or looking for a full-time job, that becomes your full-time job. So, spending an hour or two a day looking for a job and then being like, I couldn't find anything. Well, no, looking for your full-time job is your full-time job. So you wake up in the morning, you take your shower, you make your coffee, you eat your breakfast, you sit down at the computer, and for your 8 hours that day, you're looking for your job. So just take it seriously, I think, is some advice I'd give.
Awesome. You feel like starting small, stepping stones is always a good path. Yeah, get in the door somewhere, take the opportunity, see what it pans out to be, or are you more go for this very specific thing that you are looking at?
Yeah, I think it depends on the opportunities that are presented to you. I think right out of school, if you want to apply to Team Liquid, do it. I think you can have kind of the shotgun approach to having your resume out there to any opportunity that speaks to you, even if it isn't in the esports space specifically. Even if you get hired at X gaming company, gaming adjacent company, where you are contributing to marketing, you're able to take that experience after a few months, a number of years, and be able to take that experience and translate it back to when you go back out there to kind of reapply and find more opportunities. That will definitely help beef up the experience part of the resume.
Awesome. And for our very last question, it comes from chat. Basically, Gray asked, is it better to look for a job with a company or to start your own company, like an agency at this point in time? Asking as a designer.
Oh, this is an interesting one. Yeah. So I'll be the first to say, not a designer, anything like that. I have not started any companies myself. I think at this point, there are many opportunities right now where you see, I think right now the field is kind of oversaturated with, everybody is kind of seeing esports as the cash grab right now. So you've got folks that are creating kind of companies and agencies at this time to get into esports, not for the love of the game, not for the love of the scene and the industry, but they see it as, ooh, esports is hot, it gets a lot of views and it has a lot of money, let's go in on that. So right now, in my opinion, you're seeing kind of an oversaturation of those types of agencies and opportunities. So I think maybe at this point, your own company might be difficult because there's just so much noise out there. It may get lost in that noise. So in my opinion, I would certainly get those resumes out there to kind of already existing orgs. But that's not to say that you can't start something on the side. Maybe not make it a full-blown agency, but I think there's definitely opportunity for some freelance work. Everybody's, even streamers, right? If you're just a designer making stream packages or graphic packages for streamers, small-time esports organizations, that's just going to be opportunities to build up your portfolio to make your resume look even stronger.
I definitely agree with you. And I think like building your brand is maybe not an agency, maybe not a company, but your brand that people as a designer know that's you, right? So I can start doing different things. There's plenty of websites where you can build stuff and then just sell that digitally. And then you got to lean into that marketing side then of marketing now your brand, but all while working, for another company or those things are always great ways to do that. But you'll see a lot of the top designers in the world of esports, that are working for the 100 Thieves and that they have their own brand. People follow them for what they do, what they create. And then when they get those big jobs, they can kind of set their price as whatever it may be, you know, because they have gotten to that level, and that brand has grown to that. So definitely great advice. AJ, go ahead and shout yourself out. Tell people where to find you, how to get and connect with Esports and Coffee, all of the things.
Yeah. So if you're looking for me in particular, I am at Ashley of the Year on, I think, every platform at this point in time. Esports and Coffee, if you're looking to get at us, I believe we are esports_coffee, which, oh boy, that's something I should know off the top of my head. Don't mind me. Yeah, esports_coffee. If you'd like to follow us there, get into our Discord server as well. The fighting games community is CFCG_GG. If you'd like to see what we're up to on that side of the fence as well. All great groups to be a part of, and should be honestly just a lot of fun moving forward. I don't see any of those initiatives stopping anytime soon. I only see good things from here.
Definitely. Well, thank you for being a guest on the show. We're so happy to have you. Our very next episode will be on March 21st with Theresa Gaffney from the Esports Management Program and faculty at Harrisburg University. So definitely stick by and come to that. But thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. We will see you on the 21st. Have a great night.